Hello, everyone.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing out there?
Welcome to another episode of
Thank you, bro.
With my brother Big Mike. How you doing, bro?
Everything good. How y'all?
Everything good. How was your weekend?
Weekend was perfect. And the cuz came through, we kind of mend some fences, got everything back on track. How family should be,
That's right.
Went real well.
Yeah. Family truly does matter. How was your 4th?
How
was your 4th of July?
Oh, the 4th was cool.
Did you do anything?
Nice and loud. We walked to the promenade, checked that out. Little 4th of July, a little celebration, whatever going on. Same thing as usual as every year. You really can't do nothing different. Yeah, but it was safe for the most part. Yeah, it was safe.
Yeah, this year we celebrated Juneteenth. Yeah, it was nice. We did cook. We celebrated Juneteenth on June 19th, and we did barbecue. It was just something small. It was my cousin. Shout out to cousin Clifton. He's like my big brother. When I was younger and would be trying to run the streets, he ran my butt home. So shout out to my big cousin Clifton. He came and cooked for me, my sister, and my cousin Toya. So it was nice. It was nice and quiet. Not too much to do. Not too much to clean up. Everybody it was relaxing. It was the first relaxing 4th that I've had in years.
Wow. All right. That's good.
Yeah.
You don't really get too many of those. Yeah.
Not at all. So I'm excited about our guest today. We have our City Action Buffalo in the house tonight. Round of applause to them. I saw them in action today. Oh my God. Round of applause. I saw them in action today. I love to see people advocating for the city. And what I love about this organization is that everyone does not look the same. It is a melting pot of culture in this organization. They are located right here in Buffalo, New York, where I am from. Like I say, I was born and raised. My hometown is Lackawanna, New York. That's home, but Buffalo is definitely my city. So whatever I can do to support the initiative of bringing the East Side, especially, back to life, and making sure that everyone has a voice. I'm doing my part. Bro. So I'm excited to bring them in, and we can go ahead with the interview. Bring them on in. If you guys are back there, welcome. Round of applause. Hello, Don. Welcome.
All right. There you go.
Welcome. I'm so happy to have you guys.
Welcome to Thank You, Bro.
with myself and my co-host Big Mike. I saw you guys in action. You guys are definitely our City Action Buffalo. I am so excited. I felt alive down there seeing you guys spring into action, and you are truly advocating for this city. And I hope anyone that's listening, make sure you guys like, share, and follow, and find out what they are doing to support, because they're supporting us. They don't have to do this. They're supporting us, and whatever we can do to, push this forward, keep the momentum going, let's do it. I met India, which was phenomenal. I was in Chicago when I found out about India. I met her down there. It was just nice seeing everybody with like-minded people together, fighting for the same cause and using your voice.
Exactly, right.
Yeah, bro, you saw the video. So let's let them introduce themselves. We'll start with you, Harper. Go ahead and introduce yourself. And did Cassandra have a chance to call in? Was she able to call in, bro?
I'm on the line.
Okay, Cassandra, I do not want to forget about you. You guys are so important in this fight. So we'll start with Harper. Yep, go to Dawn, and then Cassandra, we'll let you introduce yourself. So go ahead, Harper. Tell our listeners who you are and what it is you are standing for.
Sure. Well, my name is Harper Bishop. I use he, him, or they, them pronouns, and I'm the interim director of Our City Action Buffalo, proudly so. Our City Action Buffalo was founded just a year and a half ago. We're a fledgling organization, but we've been doing the good work in Buffalo for many years and been following organizations, of which Dawn is the deputy director of Push Buffalo and has been active in our community for very long, and Miss Cassandra in the Broadway Fillmore area as well. So we're standing up for what's right. We're standing up for justice and equity in our city. We're on the right side of history. We know that we are, and that's why you see the beautiful action and the multiracial, multi-generational melting pot that you referred to earlier, because those are all people who have the same eye and mind towards justice, and they put it in action every day. And they did it today in council chambers. Really proud of the showing that we had. We'll get into that later, but by way of introduction, I'm just a freedom fighter here with all of you.
Thank you.
All right.
Go ahead, Ms. Dawn.
All right.
Thank you so much for having us on, and thank you, Harper, for that introduction. I'm Dawn Wells-Clyburn, Deputy Director of Push Buffalo, and I'm also here representing just our community. I'm part of our Beverly Road Block Club, which is in Hamlin Park, which is inside of the Maston District, right alongside Cold Springs, the Cold Springs area on the east side of Buffalo. Happy to be here. Been with this organization for 9 years, but I've been in the struggle politically for many, many years, more years than I care to share. Just thank you so much for this opportunity. And, we definitely have a right to speak our mind and to hold those that have the power accountable, especially when they're not representing us the way they're supposed to.
Yeah. All right. Definitely that. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ms. Cassandra. It's on you now.
All right. My name is Cassandra Eubanks. I am part of the Fillmore District, part of Push Buffalo. I work for a minority construction company, just working to be a strong activist in my area. Out here, part of the fight. Got to stay strong and in it.
Definitely that. All right. Okay.
Well, I just want to extend our thank you for even being on the stage tonight, because you guys did a phenomenal job downtown today, down at City Hall. And I just, again, want to just give you guys a round of applause, because it takes a lot to have the courage to use your voice.
Exactly.
And it felt good to see that people are truly standing up for what's right, because I want to start with just a few questions, and Big Mike, feel free to chime in as well with any questions that you have. I want to tap on what you said, Dawn, about the struggle, that you've been in this struggle for a while. What do you find is the biggest struggle in this fight?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think
I'm glad she asked you.
I'm asking all of you.
I mean, there's so many things I can say, and we can go on for a long time. I think what it makes me think about when you ask that question is, why do we have to be in this fight? What are the root causes of like really why we're here? The fact that we have a common council that is not representing, and how long have I, been here? Well, I'm from Buffalo. This is my hometown. And I used to hang out in Lackawanna. That was one of my stomping grounds.
Okay.
But I have lived almost all over the city. And because of a lot of challenges that my mother faced as a single parent doing the very best that she could, we had to move a lot. And, we spent some time out of town. We came back. And what it really makes me think of when you ask me that question is just the disinvestment in this community and the lack of regard for people who live in these areas. Like literally, you are talking about folks' livelihoods. You're talking about folks who, are dealing with landlords that are not, doing the things that are right. I'm on a call every month where we are talking about what folks are not doing that they're supposed to be doing for our community members, right? Like we have people who are charging excessive rents, and Buffalo is under this like major renaissance. And the renaissance is only really for people with means, right? Only for like the elite, people in power, the people that are in our common council. Yes, I'm going to say it like that. And
I'm glad you did.
Yes, and that is the root cause. The root cause is representation, and they are supposed to be our voice. And in this moment, that is the issue. But the issue has always been representation, a seat at the table, understanding what the issues are in order to fight. A lot of times folks say, well, people don't come out and they don't, they don't vote or they don't do this. Well, a lot of times there are a lot of barriers that have been purposely put in the way of the people who would come out, who do show up. And you saw that today. People showed up because they understood, because our City Action Buffalo did the job that we pay our tax dollars for our common council and representatives to do. They did that. And so that shows me a lot. That shows me that, it's not for a lack of awareness. It's not for a lack of will. It's just plain and simply barriers being put in folks' way and not having an opportunity to speak on them.
Right.
Harper, go ahead and tap in on that. What do you find is the greatest struggle? Because I'll just say it takes a lot for a person to actually use their voice. Most people they don't want to use their voice because they don't think anything can be done. Why should I say anything? Nothing's going to change. So what do you find is the biggest struggle? And then Ms. Cassandra, if you'd like to tap in on that, go ahead after Harper.
Yeah, well, I think Dawn did a really great job of summing up a lot of the barriers and challenges that are faced in a city like ours. We often do political education with people around what an extractive economy looks like. And Rust Belt cities and post-industrial cities like Buffalo are a prime example. The extraction of labor and the exploitation of resources are absolutely happening. And we need to get to a regenerative economy, which is based on the well-being of the people. And we have a major disconnect when I've been spending time in City Hall and the people there tell me about the politics, about what their self-interest is, what their political position is, and it has no rootedness, no groundedness, no reality whatsoever based in the neighborhoods and what people are telling me on the streets. We have been having hundreds of people contact us, thousands more in the last several weeks since we took up this fight, to a point where we are a very small organization trying to build our capacity and trying to make it all work, because once we educated the people came, and we saw that today. And what I keep saying is that Buffalo is stuck in an unvirtuous cycle where our council people basically blame the people in the neighborhoods for not participating, and then they don't, because they become disillusioned. They don't see their city working for them. They don't see the people representing them. There is a false claim on council chambers right now that says there's an inscription: the people's councilors reflect the people's will. Absolutely not true in this moment. Hasn't been true for a very long time. And what Buffalo needs is a virtuous cycle, which that's what we're trying to kickstart through our City Action Buffalo, which is that actually your voices do matter. The grassroots is where things are happening, where people's ideas, we're fond of saying those closest to the problem have the best and boldest solutions. We believe that wholeheartedly, and people have the answers by virtue of the fact that they're experts on their own lives and what they're experiencing on a daily basis. And so actually the virtuous cycle starts with our council people and our elected leaders, asking them what it is that they need and being there and supporting it. So we have a virtuous cycle that would lead to more democracy, more practices, and we would see a flourishing place. But when we put our own political self-interest and profits ahead of people, that's where we have a problem. And the fact that I even have to go to these meetings and explain to our elected leaders again what things like systemic racism is. No joke. I did that yesterday. I actually had to break down what systemic racism is. And that is a poor starting point when we don't have people who are understanding the systems of oppression and how people are being oppressed in their city and the people that they represent. So we have so many challenges. I think that Dawn outlined a lot. Obviously having to do with housing and just like basic needs being met, and then mine with like just sort of understanding the holistically where we're caught in an virtuous cycle and how we need to turn that around.
Ms. Cassandra, what about you?
And unfortunately, to piggyback off of what both of them said, our city elected officials have become too comfortable with not having to deal with the people who they supposedly take care of. They have to come to a place where they're respecting us, or we have to vote them out.
Right. Exactly.
That's right. That's right.
Exactly.
Do you find that it is difficult trying to educate people about the issues? I mean, you spoke on it, Harper, that we are aware of the situation that we're in, whether it's poverty, what we're dealing with the challenges that we deal with on an everyday basis. Do you find that it is challenging to educate people on different solutions, like going out to vote, getting out there to vote during times like this, because it is truly the local politicians that are making the decisions on where we live at right now?
Yeah, education is always going to be a struggle. And as we talked in our prep meeting just a couple of days ago, maybe that was even yesterday, the calendar is flying by. The idea for me of educating folks, I think that people are sometimes willfully ignorant and staying willfully ignorant on purpose, or saying that they're feigning ignorance when they actually know exactly what's happening and trying to make us believe that they don't know better in order to not actually move forward with our political agenda, and why their hands are tied. We saw that in council chambers today, where corporation counsel used legalese to essentially say, we can't do what you said, even though it's absolutely incorrect what their political assessment was. And they took a very generous way of interpreting that law. I also think, as we talked in prep, is that when corporations, when people with big agendas and big dollar signs next to their names ask for anything and everything, like the Pagulas, when they ask for over $1 billion of our taxes to go to build a Bills stadium, go Bills, but Orchard Park, in Orchard Park, and they put a price tag of over $1 billion when we're the third poorest and sixth most segregated. We say, how much? We'll write that check. We got you, no problem. Well, but when the people say we need fair and affordable housing, we need healthcare, we need infrastructure, we need the most basic of things, suddenly the pen is down and the checkbook
streets without potholes
goes away.
A grocery store.
Suddenly there's not a dollar. There's not a dollar that we can find, right? So it's not that you're not educated that we need these things. It's that you don't want to do it, right? And so we're not asking for, major things, but we are coming with an agenda that says you have to take care of us holistically, and we're not just going to, be satisfied and okay with asking for like the less than we need. And I think we have to get that in our head, is that we need to demand that the things that we need are what we should have, right? And not feel fearful that we can't ask for them. Because Terry Pagula, the Jacobs, Carl Palladino, they're asking for those things and they're getting those things. So
it's the fear.
So that's so that's what I would say. Yeah.
I think sometimes we don't ask for it, so we don't get it.
Yes, asking you have to ask. You have to put it out there to know that, to let others know that this is something that you want. It's been my experience that most people that I encounter are afraid to voice what it is that they need, what it is that they're afraid of, what it is that they're lacking. Many people are afraid to use their voice for fear of judgment, for fear of rejection, for fear that it's always been like this, so nothing's ever going to change. But that's not true. It's not changing because we are not demanding the change.
Well, that's it right there. I was going to say, we are talking about asking, and there's a difference between asking and demanding. There's a difference between understanding what your rights are as like a citizen, as a human being, and as a taxpayer, even if you're not a taxpayer, you have the right to have representation if you are in a domicile. And I have the right to say to the person that I put in office, this is how you need to do it. And I'm not saying I, because when I say I'm not saying me personally. I'm representing more than, God willing, more than just myself. But we have to use the right language too. It's like I got into this phase where I was saying, oh, please, and let me ask you. And then it's like, wait a minute. The light starts coming on and you're like, wait a minute, hold on. I have the right, and I must demand that you do your job. And if you don't do your job, you're out. That's it.
Right.
Yeah. There's no need for you to be there.
Right.
Right. I'm kind of like, I'm kind of like,
and if we don't ask in a way where we expect something from them, they give us nothing. We saw that today.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Well, I'm like Miss Cassandra. Vote them out. I'm like Miss Cassandra. Vote them out. They need to be replaced.
Yeah, Don, go ahead and run that first video. And then we'll talk about this, because this is so the first portion of the video is when they were reading the legal jargon to try and throw everyone off. I love how you guys erupted. Go ahead and play it, Don, if you have it ready.
Council President, but on July 4th, yesterday, Freedom Day for our nation, a patriarch of our city, Cassandra Eubanks, stepped into his turnover role.
Okay, there's another one. The next one.
This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
Go ahead, Taco, and whoever wants to go first, explain to our listeners, the people that are viewing, what happened there. Because there's another portion where they were reading the legal jargon, then all of a sudden, it's like, no, we are not taking this. We're sick and tired of hearing all of that. You're trying to throw me off with this legal jargon, but not this time. Not this time. So someone tap in and tell us what happened there. And I love this.
I'll try. But Harper kind of explained it in the beginning. That's a technique that's used by people in power to not listen to people who don't have the power or the voice. And so, they kept telling us to calm down and be quiet in council chambers and be good people. Just be quiet, little girl. Let me tap you on your head. Be quiet. And so when the guy started coming over to folks, the security, one of the first things that I said to him when he said, hey, we really need you guys to calm down. I was like, you know what? Or we're going to have to remove you. I was like, well, you know what? You're going to have to remove me in handcuffs, because this isn't even your council. I pay your salary. This is ours.
Wait, back that up. Back that up, Dawn. Say that again. So, because I think people need to understand. Say that. Who pays their salary?
The people of the city of Buffalo.
Buffalo.
And so, yeah, I'll leave when you take me out of here, but we're not going to stop saying what we have to say, because they actually didn't really give us an opportunity to voice our concerns in that arena, which is what we thought we were
It
going to
was
have.
what I call beautiful dismission.
There you go.
We were
It wasn't even
dismissed
beautiful.
beautifully.
Quickly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Quickly.
So we
Harper,
decided,
Cassandra,
that
would
we
you
were
guys
going
like
to chant down Babylon and let them know that they weren't going to silence us. This is what, it's actually an act of violence to move in that manner. And I think we don't say it enough, that is violent to push down policies on
Or
folks,
snatch
and then
someone.
they don't get to respond. That is
Right.
violent. That is violent. So let's call it what it is.
Wow.
And the legal jargon that they were spitting at us was like being cursed out by my grandmother.
Yeah.
That's how it felt. You can't say anything.
Right.
You sit there and you take it and then get up and go.
Yeah, with your tail tucked
And as adults,
tucked between your
Wow,
legs.
yeah.
But as
Harper, would you
adults,
like to-
we won't stand for that anymore.
Mhm. Would either of you like to elaborate any further into the chant that was going on? Because there were papers passed out listing what we should say.
Well, that was the great organizing of the Our City Action Buffalo organizers. All their skills, right, Harper?
Yeah, for sure. We have a really talented team. And I think that in a lot of instances, people think that organizers and activists are coming to play and we don't have the education or the background or the know-how. And they, as Dawn said, pat us on the heads and treat us like we're petulant children. They condescend us. They're smug. There's very smug faces on the council members this afternoon. And we're not playing. We didn't come here to play games. We have a legal team. We have geographers, urban planners, experts. When we say who educates us, we educate us. When we say who keeps us informed, we keep us informed. When we say who keeps us safe, we keep us safe. So we have the people that we need to get it done. And so, again, we didn't come here to play games. It is an escalation tool that we use on purpose to show them that people are angry. Again, there is a disconnect in City Hall. They think that they are demagogues and despots and that they are going to be there for life. When I unfortunately do a training for youth, I ask them how many years do you think common council members' terms are? They said 10 years to me in my last training. And that is telling, right? It's 4 years is the correct answer, but it is 10 years because people have been there so long that they think that they are owed those seats, that those are their seats and they are permanent. And that is what redistricting is teaching us. The Buffalo News, who has never come on our side for much of anything, especially in editorials. When they editorialize about something, it's mostly conservative. It's mostly, on the other side. They wholeheartedly agreed with us. The first line of that editorial read, "The critics are right." And it went on to say that this reads like an incumbent protection plan. And that is what they do in redistricting. And we are the first city in the country that we are aware of, that any of our colleagues are aware of and comrades, that have taken on a grassroots fight against gerrymandering, against racist gerrymandering and redistricting in the country. The Nation, which is a progressive publication that's pretty famous, they wrote today about this fight, and they said, if you want an example of a city that's doing it right now, and you want to learn how to fight gerrymandering, check out Buffalo, New York. We continue to be a leader in so many things, and it is our elected officials that are actually holding us back because, there's a lot of people who, like, when we lead, we elect India Walton. When we lead, we unionize Starbucks. When we lead, we stop ShotSpotter and police having more money. When we lead, we are redistricting and we are reapportioning in a way that creates and preserves our neighborhoods and puts racial equity and justice in the front.
So we're going to take a quick break and then come back and talk more about the redistricting, because that's why we're here. East Buffalo or the East Side, you guys, what are your thoughts on it? Stay tuned. And if you are interested in having a podcast, make sure you hit up the Evening Rush Network. So stay tuned. We'll be right back, you guys.
Looking to podcast shows and do not know where to start? The Evening Rush Network can help you with that. Call us at 929-441-2417 or email us at theeveningrushnetwork@gmail.com for dates and prices. We got you for all your podcast needs. The Evening Rush Network. Tune in, subscribe, and share.
Welcome back to another episode of Think and Grow with Vette Green. And I have my co-host here, Big Mike of the Brooklyn Brown Table. Make sure you check out his show at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Tuesday, right after Think and Grow with Vette Green. So we're here for a reason. We're here because there's been a proposal to change, and I don't know if you guys have noticed, watching the news, they've already started calling the East Side East Buffalo. They've already been, I was watching the news. I watch the news almost every day. And I noticed that now they're referring to the East Side as East Buffalo. So explain to our listeners, and any one of you can jump in, explain to our listeners why we met today down at City Hall, and what is it that's actually going on as far as the East Side and East Buffalo. Like, what's the big deal? I know some people are like, well, I don't understand. What's the big deal? What's the difference in either the East Side or East Buffalo? So explain to our listeners what happened. And either of you can jump in.
I think you need Mr. Harper.
I was gonna say, the East Side is not my community. I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. And so I'm passing on to people who live on the East Side. I can tell you a historical
The East Side is my community.
It's mine too.
Yeah. Go, please.
Go, Miss Cassandra.
Tap in for me.
Okay, so the East Side is my community. I am not sure why they are now calling it East Buffalo. But what I do know, as for the redistricting, I am in what is considered the Fillmore District. And the Fillmore District stretches to places it has no business going. Okay, I live at what is considered Best in Fillmore, and it is part of the Broadway Fillmore area. But the Fillmore District itself is going all the way over to Niagara, which is primarily more of a Puerto Rican area.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely, historically it's been that. Historically it's been that. So my question for the council would have been, how does a girl or a woman such as myself be considered in the same voting area as someone who lives on Niagara? How are we being looked over or cared for by the people we voted into politics to care for us? He's carrying too large an area. It's not possible.
It's Councilmember Mitch Nowakowski, and he represents the most gerrymandered district in all of Buffalo. If you look on the map, it is literally a U. Some people have called it a screeching eagle. It reaches from Broadway Fillmore on the east side, a lot of Bangladeshi community moving in, Black, and then it used to be formerly Polish, and then stretches all the way to Allentown, mostly white progressive neighborhood, LGBTQ. And as the point has been made, the needs of these two distinct neighborhoods are so different. And so you might be having a festival on one end and basic infrastructure is lacking on the other, right? And so how do these two connect? There is no way, when you look at the legal context for this of compactness, that it fits the legal requirement. It is purely gerrymandered for specific council members who live there.
Wow.
The economic challenges as well. Does that also include the medical part
It does not. The Fruit Belt neighborhood, and Dawn is from closer to there, so maybe she would speak to her community. Clearly is hurting right now, and might want to speak to a little bit of what's happening there.
Yeah, I mean, and to your original point, the whole East Buffalo East Side thing is, I'm feeling I'm really pissed off about the timing of this and how the council is moving in the shadow of the May 14th massacre. Because if you were to look at this map that they've proposed, it covers the area that I live in, which is Maston, which incorporates the Tops on Jefferson, and the Ellicott district, which has always been like a very large area that also incorporates the Fruit Belt, which is the area where a lot of my father's family are from, the street where, where I was born at on Rose Street.
And a district that I once was in before this change.
Right. And that's a whole nother point, right? The fact that these lines get redrawn without regard for the people that live there. And then the effect, people might not understand the effect of it until after the lines have been drawn. And then there's a reaction to these lines that are redrawn, and how people get displaced and policies get written codified into law. So for me, the East Side, East Buffalo, I don't really think is relevant in terms of what the real issue is. The real issue is that we need to address this because it's citywide. And if you are moving districts that, go into U, and then you're shrinking Maston down and increasing like Lovejoy, which is, an area where folks have been, some Black folks have been displaced. If you look at gentrification, we're, in the city of Buffalo, we're being pushed out further and further and further. But it's not just about Black people. This is like poor people, being pushed out to the outskirts of the city. And what rights do we have? We're trying to lock in right now. And I think that my concern is that we have a lot of, distractions going on to keep our eyes away from what is actually going to impact us in another 5 to 10 years. So that's
I agree. I agree, Dawn. I agree.
Explain redistricting, because I'm not sure that everyone understands. And so you guys know that I live in Chicago now. I'm here in Buffalo most of the time, but I'm actually living in Chicago. And what I noticed, first thing I noticed when I came back home is Broadway. So if you drive down Broadway, now for some people, it may look like, oh, there's brand new buildings going up. Oh, there's a gas station going up. Oh, there's a brand new restaurant. To me, because I'm in Chicago now and I see the differences. No, this is gentrification. I don't think a lot of people understand that, they're building all of these infrastructures and they're placing all of these businesses there. But what about the homes? That's going to make.
And what about the people who live in that community?
Exactly.
Who's benefiting? It's nothing but questions that I think folks should be asking. Who's benefiting from that?
Okay, I don't see faces that look like me.
Who's benefiting from the new buildings, and who's getting displaced?
So any one of you can tap into, explain what redistricting is and why the people of Buffalo should be concerned.
That's on you, Harper.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, I wouldn't hope for anything else. So, So so first of all, redistricting happened based on the decennial census, which means that every 10 years people are counted, and the 2020 census just came out. That's why you're seeing fights in New York State and in the Senate, and that those maps were thrown out. Because they were gerrymandered, similar to what is happening here. When we look at the 2020 census, Buffalo, New York has increased in population for the first time in 70 years. That is obviously significant. In order to do that and to look at what redistricting does, is that you have to have a comparative analysis of what transpired in the last census and what is happening now. So there's some legal things that have to take place. mostly population equalization should be the easiest thing to do because you have to split the map up and it has to be equal. The idea of one person, one vote matters here. Because if you don't, the example that we keep using is that Wyoming and the lack of population there, and Californians will have less voting power actually than Wyoming people because, of course, there's a lot more Californians than there are people from Wyoming. So you have to configure that in order to make sure that people are actually having one person, one vote. In the map that the city proposes, South Buffalo and the South District would actually be the most powerful district, and the least powerful would become the Maston District. As you probably, if you're aware with Buffalo, white folks live in South Buffalo predominantly, and it's Black folks who live in Maston. So think about, again, racial equity and who would not benefit and who wouldn't benefit. You also have to have compact districts. As we just talked about, there is Miss Cassandra lives in this district. It goes from one end, from the east side all the way to the west side. That's not compact. It also has to be contiguous. And then you have to preserve as many communities. They call them communities of interest, but it's basically our communities and keeping them holistic. That has not happened. The map of Buffalo is a textbook example of gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is a term much like gentrification that I think can get thrown out there, but we don't really know what that means. Gerrymandering is just simply when you make unfair lines and you essentially cheat, because how can anyone, an insurgent candidate or campaign, win when the lines are custom made for the people who now are in office in this moment? And that means that 9 council members, that's how many we have, and they are men, all men, as you saw today, which is startling in 2022 that we have a council that is only reflective of men and no women or anyone else.
And that's for the first time in a long time also.
It has been a while, but all men are representatives. When 9 men's political interests and self-interest are ahead of 280,000 plus people, that's a problem. Wow. And so it impacts all of us, and it is a thing that makes us very upset. And as you've said, depending on what district you are in, you're going to see a very different picture of the city and who is looking out for you, who's trying to build an equitable and inclusive Buffalo, or who is trying to sell you out to real estate developers. As we just read in the Buffalo News, $1,100 is the average rent in Buffalo right now. And you know what? People are not making enough money to be paying $1,100 for a...
Nobody is.
Exactly. So that's why redistricting happens and why it is so important that people understand it changes their representative. It obviously cuts them out of neighborhoods. It makes no sense when you're thinking about, why am I in the same district as Allentown that's on the west side when I live on the east side? I mean, all of these questions arise out of that, and especially the dissolution and dilution of Black voting power is intentionally especially right after we said business is not going to continue as usual. We have every attempt to dilute Black voting power, and that's not okay with me. And it shouldn't be okay with anyone, honestly, of course.
I have a question, Harper.
Go for it.
What makes a neighborhood of interest?
Yeah, the city planning documents determine what these communities of interest are, and they're based on their greatest attempt at what the neighborhood contiguity is. And so the city has a plan of what those communities are, though, of course, we define our communities very differently than the city of Buffalo, right? Let's be honest, no one's looking at the city's plan and saying, oh, there's my community of interest. It's how we define ourselves, but that is how they do it legally. It's called a community of interest.
Well, I got one question for all 3 of you. Are any 3 of you plan on running for city council? Because you guys got it down.
They spoke about that down there today.
No, but I will go hard, and I will support anyone that really and truly represents us.
Listen, hey, this the formula.
And I will fight with her right behind her.
Because hey, you guys will definitely get that. I think I would have to move to Buffalo for that one.
I keep telling you, come on down, come on. Well, actually, you guys are down. We're up. We're north. You guys are south.
Actually,
Anyway.
Big Mike, that's a great. I think it's first of all.
This, I'm like,
I will say this, that for me, I've worked with the Working Families Party, Coalition for Economic Justice, and now PUSH. And I want to do some more things with Harper and OCAP. But for me, what's going on right now is so unjust that if we don't fight right now, teach our young people to fight. I brought my daughter with me today, who is a college senior, and she's going to school for broadcast journalism and public relations so that she gets a up close and personal look at how government is ran on a local level.
Right. And where's the woman's vote on that community vote?
Right.
Because if our young people don't understand the government, they can't lead us.
Right.
Whoa.
And if they're not involved, they don't know how to
future.
fight.
Right.
Exactly. And they are our future.
Right. I completely agree with you on that, Ms. Cassandra.
So for me, in my district,
to the movement.
I love seeing the kids down there. I took pictures.
For
of
me,
the one little boy holding
for me,
the sign.
I want to learn to educate our young people so that they can get out here and fight a real fight, a meaningful fight.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
where they're not overlooked and dismissed.
Speaking of fights, let's run the video. So there was one person, I believe her name was Amanda. She was down there and she was very vocal during the session of her feelings. So Don, if you don't mind running that video with, I believe her name is Amanda. Thank you for the short interview. But this is the passion that we need when we are demanding our basic necessity. It's not even, it's the things that we should have. We should not be lacking in adequate housing. We should not be lacking in a place to go and buy groceries. It makes no sense to me how this could still be happening here in 2022. So Don, if you have that video available with Amanda, go ahead and
introduce yourself to the listeners. Tell us who you are and what just transpired. I saw your passion upstairs. What brought that out?
I'm Ashley Brunner. I live in the Lovejoy district. Brian Bowman is my councilman. Lovejoy is one of the districts that's up for redistricting to where it will be essentially whitewashed. I showed up today because I'm pretty active in the community. I'm also the president of the Buffalo Police Advisory Board, which is the board they originally disbanded without much say, minimal input, and a quiet vote, similar to things like this. So more or less, I'm upset because they're reading off the dates of the meetings. The first date of the meeting was in April. I think it was the 20th of May. For May 18th was the very first one, though. See, my problem with May 18th, period, to me, if only 2 people showed up, considering what the tragedy was that happened days before then, why would you not say, you know what, we don't have enough turnout? Because you know people's opinions.
What just happened? Right.
You know that we were literally Googled, our address, zip code was Googled. That's why he was able to come up here and do what he did. Why would you not want more input specifically from those residents? And why would you ever think those residents in Maston District would have ever came out to come down here? It doesn't make any sense. People were telling them they had curfews. People were at the end of the street blocking it up. I was delivering food with Indians here. Like, that doesn't even make any sense because I am from Kaisertown. Nothing was happening in Kaisertown. So on May 18th, Brian Bowman, who didn't answer my call about getting Ms. McDuffie access to Roberta Jory's body so she could say goodbye, was sitting in chambers and wouldn't return my call. So no, I'm not happy. I live in a district where you can go on my block. There's Muslims, there's Spanish people, there are Christians, there's me, there's Chinese, there's everybody. Like, why is it only white people? Like, I feel incredibly insulted. Especially when half the business owners on Clinton, they're people that look like me. So it's odd to me that you would try to whitewash at least my part of the district. And especially from a man who's picking up trash with my nephew. Here's the funny part. When did we have this meeting? 2 weeks ago, a week ago, in here. My nephew, I got a phone call about my nephew getting a basketball scholarship the day after we were in chambers.
Well, congratulations for that.
I didn't return the
Congratulations
call
for
back.
that.
How
Oh, I saw
infuriating
you
is
last
that?
night on the Zoom
Upsetting
call.
is that you don't even want to give time to speak to us, return calls, have proper community meetings, but you can give time to have Larry call me, who's ironically black, working in your whitewashed future district, to tell me that we can get a basketball scholarship, not a reading one, not a math one, but a basketball. I'm tired of my council. I'm just sick of it.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Nice meeting you. I hope you watch tonight.
I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, just stay fired up, stay blasting.
They are so full of passion. I love it. And I apologize. It was Ashley. The passion just drives me because I feel like when you are willing to fight for something, that's when you see change. You have to be willing to take action. That's the only way you can see change. We need more of that. We need more of that. So your thoughts on that? What did you think, Big Mike, when you saw that?
Hey, like I'm saying, I'm thinking you three guys should be on that council ASAP. I mean, you guys got to run for those seats. You guys got to run for those seats because you saying there's no woman on that council?
There's no woman on that council anymore.
Wow.
But I've gotten a little bit too old for that, Mike.
But
they kill me quick.
Yeah, and then the there's so much work to be done. Harper mentioned that our City Action Buffalo is a newly formed organization, and it is a ton of work that goes behind these organizations like his, organizations like mine, and all of these folks that are on the ground that are doing the work day in and day out. I find it really, I'm offended by the fact that it's a bunch of just men on the council, because number one, when that thing happened down there and our folks got massacred, the first group of people that was down there was the women that looked like me, holding calling each other. You couldn't get down there. Look, come to my house, baby. I got you. Look, we're gonna eat. We were bawling. We were congregating together and holding each other, cooking, taking care of kids, seeing who needed what. What can I do? And you know what? What happened when the council member and all of the people came down? It was a bunch of men in a circle talking about what they could do and what they wanted to bring, and about money. We weren't talking about money. We were talking about helping us get over that moment.
The trauma.
These moments that continue to be exacerbated. And what I'm really pissed off about is the fact that, and Ashley touched on it, the fact that 4 days, not even 4 days after the massacre, they decided to keep going with this in the wake of, and then the tragedies didn't look at everything that's unfolded, even just on a microcosm in Buffalo from May 14th until now. We just had another major community member pass away within the last week, and he touched so many lives. Dr. Daniels, yes, and he was my children's pediatrician, and we keep dealing with compounded trauma on top of it. And the fact that they don't understand or pretend like they don't understand what systemic racism is, the fact that they pretend that they don't understand what the community is saying and what we need.
Or systemic oppression, they understand it.
They understand. They're pretending. And what I'm saying is that I am tired of it. I'm fed up, and so is the community. And we can't come up for air enough. But I'm dogged. I'm determined. When I say I'm calling on my ancestors, when I say I'm calling on all of the powers that be, I really mean that. And I think that everyone should hold them to the count, no matter how hard it is. But we can't all hold office. We can do the work, though.
And I tell you what else. The May 14th taught me how much education is needed in the east side of Buffalo. Because we forgot about the fight. Until May 14th, we had forgotten about the fight. Okay? When those people got massacred, what it brought back to the forefront was what we were supposed to be continuously fighting for in the first place, which was equitable food sources in our community. You get what I'm saying?
Yes,
we had forgotten about the fight, and tragedy brought it back to the forefront. And what we can't do again is forget.
And get complacent.
get complacent,
Yeah.
because that's what I feel. I feel that sometimes they give us things to make us complacent and make us, oh, we don't have to worry
Or they
about
push
that.
us around to try to make us feel complacent.
Right.
But
And it's
that
intentional.
even
Like I said, it's a lot of smoke screens, and that is definitely one of them. And we should
But
not
you
be
guys,
moved. So you're right, Miss Cassandra. We need education, and we need to tell our people and encourage our people, even if you can't come out, even if you're tired, whatever you can do, do it. Help the helpers. If you can't do anything, but help the
And
people that are out
realistically,
there on the front line.
I want some
you
old
gonna
ladies on the
you
phone.
gonna
They do that telephone real well.
Yeah, and they cook real well too. I need to eat.
Yeah. They can feed you and they can work that phone.
Yes.
So, as we close out, I want each of you just to leave our listeners with something. And Big Mike, go ahead and tap in if you have any additional questions for them. I agree with you. I think that
I would
someone
say
should
I'm
be
waiting for
running.
Mr. Harper to say he's running for that community board.
I'm not,
you
but they can't fathom a world in which we would do things for the public good. So they just assume we are all running, because in their book, you wouldn't just do this because it's the right thing to do. And that's part of the problem, is that the helpers and the people who are doing the good work and want to be in collaboration, we're sick and tired of being sick and tired, to quote Fanny Hammer, right? We are. And we, though, know that there are people who are qualified to run, and we are no longer interested in accountability campaigns, of which we have to run all the time.
Right.
They hinder our creativity, our imagination, and truly what we deserve. We're moving on to co-governance with people in our community who have been doing the work, like Dawn just spoke about, Miss Cassandra, people who have put in the hours and put in the work and proven themselves to be the people's champion. We're now pivoting to those folks. We're identifying those folks, and we're going to run those folks, because it's time for Buffalo to truly have the leadership it so deserves.
I agree.
Exactly. Definitely keep us informed and let us know, because we'll wear them down putting it up here.
That's right.
We'll definitely put the word out every show we have to do. We'll put it out. Definitely put it out. But you guys,
what
keep
about
up
you, Dawn? Yes. What about you, Dawn? What would you like to leave our listeners with? What would you like them to take away from this conversation?
I would say, if you have eyes to see and ears to hear and hands to work, many hands make light work. And so I think that we send a strong signal when we show up in numbers, and we also can do the hard, deep work when we educate ourselves. So I think that's part of it, and demanding that we have a seat at the table and showing up. And getting our young people involved. I think Ms. Cassandra touched on it. So everything that's been said throughout the call, and really making sure that we're grounded and rooted, that we eat, that we hydrate, and that we check in with our spirit, so that we can be grounded and we can speak with authority and power and call it into action. You know, I think that's just necessary, and that's where we are. And like I said, if you cannot actually be a part of and do the work, find a way to plug in and use whatever superpower you have, whether you're Black, whether you're white. Use your resources to ease the burden of the people who are doing that work on the front line.
Right.
I like that. What about you, Miss Cassandra? What would you like to leave our listeners with? What should they take out of everything that has transpired over the last month or so? What should they take from that, and what you guys are doing right now?
I would just like to share a couple of re's with people. You've got to relearn, reimagine, recommit yourself. You know, you got to resurge energy. We got to read everything that we know and not stop until it changes.
Yes.
That's true.
That's it. That's it right there. That's it right there. That's the truth right there. That everything. And how can our listeners find you, or if they want additional information and resources?
And we hope you do. They can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is primarily how we communicate with people, through Our City Action Buffalo. And then right now, because we've been talking about redistricting, this is a campaign that we've been leading on. www.ourcityactionbuffalo.com/redistricting. It's a one-stop shop for everything that people need to know. It's really easy to use. We have petitions. We have the plan that we've put together, the one that the council has put together that Ashley spoke about, that is being whitewashed and diluting voter power, especially for Latinx and Black voters in the city of Buffalo. And we also have a lot of templates of what you can say to your councilman. And we say that explicitly at this point because we want to highlight that they're only men. So to your councilman, if you want to get your neighbors and people involved, we have a template, even how to speak to them about this issue. So we've been doing this. There's an easy breakdown. We're making it as digestible as possible. So yes, we would love for people to interact with us in this fight and far into the future. And we thank you so much for having us on.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you for being on. Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, like Big Mike said, feel free, stop by. If there's anything that you guys have on the agenda that you want to get out there, even if it's a phone call, feel free. The 7:15 part of the hour is when we usually have people call in if they have things on the agenda, especially community news. We are big on that. Big Mike's in Brooklyn. We're big on that.
Yep.
Cool.
Well, you will be hearing from me, Vette. Don't worry. I'll be back.
I love it, Miss Cassandra. I love it. Please call in. Listen, I am here to be disruptive. I am not here to make friends. I'm here to be disruptive. I silenced myself for far too long. Not again.
All right.
I silenced myself for far too long. Now that I know how powerful our voices are when we use them, I can't stop. There's a verse that Jay-Z has that says I something to the lines where I can't shut up grandmama. They gonna have to kill me. I feel like that. I feel like Martin Luther King. I understand now because I see the need. I see the atrocity that was done. I feel like in a lot of ways that we were bamboozled. Like I was telling you in our interview the other night, Harper, I'm from Lackawanna. This is my hometown. Right. There was a time in my life, I'm 46 years old. There was a time in my life where I could not go to South Buffalo.
Right.
Even now in 2022.
Right. I remember those songs.
South Park, it still blows my mind when I see people that look like me in South Buffalo. Right. I just had a friend.
It's kind of scary, ain't it?
It is. I'm when I go to Lovejoy, I'm like this. Honestly, because that is where I receive the most racism. The most racism is that my brother, he was a teenager at the time. Now, mind you, this was probably late 90s, early 2000s. He got chased out of Casanova Park. We had to go and get him. He was on a date, and they decided to walk through the park, and he got chased out of the park. You guys, this was 20 years ago. So for me, going through South Buffalo, it scares me still. Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
If a pickup truck pulls on the side of me,
right.
Of course, because it's been my experience.
Hey, Dad, I'm old enough to feel like that about Broadway.
Yes. When we had the conversation, I said that I've experienced racism before. The racism that I've experienced have come from Polish and Irish Americans.
Yeah.
And it's not me being racist. That's just been my experience. Over there on Broadway, they did not like us over there. Even now going into the Broadway market, it's still
when I was the kid, you got from over there before 6 o'clock.
Oh yeah.
The sundown was all around the outskirts of the hood. They bused us from Delavan Grider to Riverside, and we had to fight almost every day.
I was in the first batch of that, Dawn.
They did not want us there, and we had to be there because they decided that we couldn't go to school in our neighborhood. So we had to go to Riverside.
And they closed most of those schools.
Yeah, they did. But now Riverside is like a place where people are getting pushed out into. You know what I'm saying? So that's a whole nother topic. I mean, we can really get into that, but no, it's real. Racism is real. It has been. It hasn't been talked about enough, and
it will be.
And it's hella real. I feel like as the white person I want to affirm that is actually your lived experience, and that my job is to get with my white homies and tell them that we need to dismantle white supremacy. That is our job. That is our job. That is my job, particularly. And I'm
No,
here.
that is the
I'm here in the
truth.
struggle
I
with
appreciate
you.
that.
I'm here in the struggle
Yes.
with you, and I'm not going to let you all talk about it and not be about it. I wanted to jump in there and say it is our responsibility. We have, and I have, and my people have failed you, and we need to do better.
Much respect to you. Much respect.
Definitely
Much
that. Definitely
respect.
that. I appreciate
Those of us
Harper,
who have,
brother from another
yeah,
mother.
right. Those of us who have lived here in Buffalo, we may not have realized that what we experienced, the segregation, blacks on the east side, Polish people on, the certain parts of South Buffalo, Irish, that is segregation.
Yeah.
You go other places, everyone should be able to mixed, ethnicities. That's how we grow. That's how we learn about different experiences. It is very, very difficult if everyone around you is not doing well. It's tough.
But see,
to
again, that's why we need our young people, because our young people don't see color as we once did.
Right. They don't.
Okay? That's why we need our young people out here fighting this fight.
Mm-hmm.
We got to educate them. We got to teach them what needs to be done and show them how to do it.
Exactly.
Big Mike, would you like to leave our listeners with a nugget or two, or before we sign up?
If it's a positive way to go, and we can see, opening to it, we need to take that route. We can stay on the positive road, or we can stay on the negative. We need to always stay on the positive. Let go and let God.
That's right.
All right.
That's right. And I'll just leave our listeners with this. If it makes you angry enough, it should make you angry enough to take action. You can't talk about it and not be about it. I've heard so much talking, not enough action. We have got to stand up for ourselves. If we don't stand up for ourselves, how can we look to someone else to stand up for us? We have to use our voice. We have to make sure that we hold the people in power accountable. And yes, you do have a voice. I don't care where you live. You have a voice, and you have people that were elected to make sure that your voice is heard and to make sure that your needs are taken care of. All right? That's all I'm going to say on that. Use your voice. I love you guys, and thank you again for joining Think Girl with Vette Green. Make sure you stay tuned. 9:00, Brooklyn at the Brown Table. Right, bro?
We up next. Yep, we up next. Thank you.
Right. Don, you back there? Would you like to leave our listeners with something? You may not be.